has taken over.
Let's go.
It's Ferrall.
Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money.
It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
It's Ferrall on the bench, coast to coast, in the biggest way possible. Hanging out the bad side, the broken, the bad apple with a bad attitude. We are live in New York City, the Big Apple. Ooh, people dressed in plastic bags, directing traffic, some kind of fashion shake-it-up should do me. Yeah. Oh, woo, woo. Along with the Tutty and Tater King himself, the founder of the ILC podcast, the rights holder of the Sheet of Integrity, and the Put It With a Golf guru. It's Carver High this afternoon, ladies. Frank the Tank running it, along with Luke. I am your father. The rundown today, it's a heavy hitters club. Look at that. Unbelievable. Gabe Morency, a double shot from British Columbia. Mike DeCourcy also in the first hour. Look at that second hour. It's Bob with shoes on. My guy Bob was shoesing from ESPN and the Jets. He's incredible. We'll get him on finally waxing poetically on C2C. And then in the final hour, the coup de grace. Look at that. Dave Sharapan, the sportsbook consigliere, styling today with the rundown, Carver High. An enormous effort. We have it all going, including the Western Conference Finals starting tonight in OKC at the Paycom, and the Eastern Conference Finals starting in hockey in Raleigh between the champs and the chumps. I mean, the Canes. So it's a big night of playoff pressure, and then you got baseball to boot. It's crazy up in here.
Yeah, it's a happy Tuesday on Coast to Coast, and a very busy one. So yesterday was kind of like the calm before the storm, right? And now we get right back into it. We had one day off, and now conference finals in both the NBA and the NHL. And I'm excited for this tonight. I'm excited for both of these series to get going, especially this OKC Minnesota Western Conference final in the NBA. You got two great stars who are looking to get to their first NBA final. One of them's going to be there, SGA or Ant. I think they're going to go back and forth, little duel. We got lots of other players in this series who are going to make a big impact. I think we have a chance, maybe, to have ourselves a really fun, competitive, deep series between Minnie and OKC.
You know, a lot of people that I'm hearing from and that I'm talking to, they think the T-Wolves are going to give them all they can handle because of Ant and Randall. And, I like the T-Wolf team as much as you do. I still have my reservations, though, if they're as fantastic as everyone thinks they are when someone's completely in their shack. I think that the Thunder's defense is oppressive. I think they're all over everyone. And, I mean, they just play killer D. And, I mean, the whole court. And, I mean, I played 2 games last night on an NBA court, and it is enormous. People don't realize that, how much bigger it is than a college court, a high school court. It's enormous, and they just cover every inch of it defensively like no other team in the league. At some level, I still believe that the best defense wins championships for the most part. I think that defense wins titles. Defense carries series and teams to titles, and I think they have, without a doubt, the best defense. I do not deny that the T-Wolves are a good team. I've been on them throughout the playoffs, as you know, and I've been riding them like a horse. But now they're facing something much different in this Thunder team. I just think they're terrific defensively. And because of that defense, I think they score a ton of points off of it. And they get a lot of transition buckets, steal buckets, path buckets where they just get the ball and go. And it's a path right to the rim. And they got guys that can rebound. They got guys that can shoot threes. They got guys that can shoot deep. They have it all. And I think that white boy Rick Hartenstein, our boy, and Caruso, the veteran tilt that they needed. I think that's what they were missing in Oak City, and they got it now, and you saw what they did to Denver.
You certainly did, and I think the one thing Minnie's got to avoid, and I know we'll have Ant talking about it later, they can't start slow against this team. They started slow. They lost that first game to the Warriors last round. Last year, they started slow and ended up losing the West Finals to to Dallas, excuse me. So they need to start fast, especially on the road at OKC. As far as the hockey side of things, we will play game 1 in the Eastern Conference tonight in Raleigh with the Canes and the Panthers. Panthers, of course, looking to go to their 3rd straight Stanley Cup final. They're the defending champs after winning last year. 2 years ago, they swept Carolina on their way to the Cup final. So here we go again. And this is, for me, Scotty, this is about Carolina. This has been 5 years now of Carolina's going to win a cup. Carolina's going to win a cup. And they've been knocking on the door, and they haven't been able to break it down. Here they are again on the doorstep. Are they finally going to be able to go through it?
No. I don't think so. I don't think
either.
so. I think that you and I had this conversation yesterday. I think that the opportunity is on the table tonight for the Canes to jump out and win this first game on their home ice. They've been very impressive in their building, and they've been, frankly, impressive on the road. They've been very consistent on, both sheets of ice, and they are as good as they've ever been. I will not deny that. But this team they're playing is serious. I mean, they beat them. They swept them a couple of years ago when they went to the finals and lost to Vegas. Now they're playing them again. They're the best team in hockey. They are the cream of the crop. They are better than Carolina. They are better than everyone. I have said on a number of occasions I like Edmonton, and I think the best team that they would have a shot against would be, certainly they don't want to play Florida again. They may want revenge on them, but I'm sure they'd rather play Carolina. And I think that Edmonton will get through, and I think it's going to be Florida again because this is 3 straight years they're going to be looking at a Stanley Cup final, and they won one, and they might win back-to-back. They're deep. They're 4 lines. They're well-coached. They're physical. They got the goalie. They got the goods. And I just think they're flat out better. And I think tonight they might be ripe for the picking. But, they lost the first 2 in Toronto in that series. They still kicked their ass.
Yeah, I was thinking back to it this morning because the NHL, there's so much parity now, right? You get different teams every year making it to the final. I guess the last time you had the same 2 teams play each other back-to-back years in the Stanley Cup final would probably be Penguins Red Wings, right? In those 2 years. 08-09. And what happened, the second year, the team that lost the first year came back and won the second time. So you could see return serve if that ends up being the matchup in a couple weeks with Edmonton and Florida.
I think it is going to come to fruition, and I think they will beat them. I think that they had them right where they wanted them after being down 3-0, and then they got to 3-all, and Game 7 they lost in Sunrise, and they got to hoist the Stanley Cup in front of their fans down in South Florida, long-suffering fans. But they've had a great window here. This has been a nice little mini dynasty run, the best since the Blackhawks and LA Kings, I guess. But I think Edmonton's going to beat them.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Lowe's knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Still underdogs at home, on the road, and all of these games. It's time for people to start understanding it's a legitimate team that has a chance not only to win the series against Cleveland, but also maybe even go all the way to the NBA Finals.
I think a lot of the focus has been on why the Cavs have not played particularly well. A lot of that is due to injury, of course, but I think that's taking too much credit away from what the Pacers have done.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Derek Carr has called it a career after 11 NFL seasons.
I think they knew before the draft that they had to make a move at this point. And by the way, Derek Carr did have a pretty good career, made as many Pro Bowls as Eli Manning. So based on that, he should go to the Hall of Fame like Eli Manning. Well, Eli Manning does have a couple rings at that point, but always wanted to take a shot at Manning, who should not actually be in the Hall of Fame. Shouldn't be questioned an under 500 quarterback for his career. Stop the Manning.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Ferrall has taken over.
Let's go.
It's Ferrall.
Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money.
It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
You can catch Sports Rage weeknights at 10 East on all of our TV and radio outlets. We get Morency for a double shot every day from Vancouver on C2C. Thank God for that. So last night was terrible. No NBA playoffs, no Stanley Cup playoffs. I had a couple games back to back, thank God, because I was tripping without those playoff games on. I was losing my mind. Tonight we got Oak City and the start against the T-Wolves, and we got the champs, the Panthers and Canes in Raleigh. What do you think of these two puppies, Gabe?
Well, I'm glad that the playoff action is back tonight, because last night I was sweating out the Seattle Storm and the Dallas Wings, and I ended up losing when it was all said and done. I had the over of the game. They scored like 97 points in the first half, gave me nothing in the second half. But you and I talk about this a lot, Scott. Like, you know, like with the NCAA tournament, it's like, all right, you got the Thursday games, the Friday games, and you sort of like one of the days better. You're like, all right, that's the day. Let's be real. Today is cool. I'm glad it's back. But tomorrow's the day. Knicks, Pacers, Oilers, Stars. You know what I mean? I'm a little bit more fired up for those two series. Although, you know what? Now that the Oklahoma City T-Wolves series is here, I am a little bit fired up for this. I'm just sick of the Florida Panthers. They're a great hockey team, but they're about to go to the third Stanley Cup in a row here. You know, it's a little bit much and excessive. Not to mention they made the conference finals the year before they went to the freaking Cup. So it's like constant with the Florida Panthers. Hard for me to say, oh, I'm excited to watch the Panthers play. I've watched them play 222 times, man, in the last 3 years. Like, it's a little bit much. I will say, though, as far as the series, Scott, I'm kind of with you here. Listen, you could build a house, bro, like with the money that I've lost betting against the Florida Panthers over the last couple of years.
Right.
And I've just got to say, you know what? They're that damn good, and I'm not getting in front of them anymore. Doesn't mean I don't think they'll win tonight, though. One thing with the Panthers, like a lot of championship teams, they understand that it's a marathon, not a sprint. We saw it against the Toronto Maple Leafs. They don't panic after being down a game in a series, and quite frankly, they often are. You know, the Panthers are slow starters actually in playoff series. You can get to them earlier in the series. They get better as it goes on. They sort of feel you out, although they know Carolina inside out. all that being stated, Scott, I'm taking Carolina tonight to win the game, but I think the Florida Panthers will win the series and go back to the Stanley Cup.
You saw them lose the first two in Toronto, and they still, let's face facts, in Game 5, 6-1, Game 7, 6-1. At the end of the day, they killed them.
As good as the Panthers have been, though, over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of drama with them, right? I mean, they've blown three, you know what I mean? They blew a 3-0 series lead last year, right? I mean, the Edmonton Oilers nearly came back. They sent it to 7 games, right? So the Panthers are very streaky. As good as they are, they don't sweep you, right? Like, I know they swept the Panthers. The Panthers swept the Canes a couple of years ago, but they are vulnerable a couple of times, like everybody. They're not perfect, right? I mean, they're playing good teams. So, listen, I think Carolina is a really, really good team, and they got a chip on their shoulder. I don't think it helps that Brendan Moore keeps on talking about the playoff series from 2 years ago. For people that don't remember, after they lost, they got swept 2 years ago, the Canes to the Panthers. But, I don't know, maybe 3 to 4 games went to overtime type of deal. Like, they were really close. And Carolina had really bad luck. And Brendan Moore said after, you know, that's hockey, but I think we were the better team. But you got swept. So he's saying, we thought we were the better team. He's revisited that. Like, you know what, 2 years ago, I think we were the better team, actually.
Yeah,
and
no,
it's
they
like, well,
weren't.
you're not. You got swept, right? And they're the defending Stanley Cup champions, and you're not. And I wouldn't, give them this bulletin board material about how you're better than they are all the time, because that's the type of stuff that they will pay attention to. So, I just don't want to get in front of the Florida Panthers in a series. But with that being stated, Scott, I do like Carolina tonight, and I should note, Sweden just scored. We got a track meet going on here. 3-2 game with Canada.
Timeout. I got 5 left. First of all, what's that jersey you got on there? Stand up. Let me see that jersey.
So, yeah, Vancouver Whitecaps, goalie.
Oh, that's a little Whitecaps when they pull out the purple, huh?
Look at that. Yeah, the goalie always wears something different. The goalie in soccer always, got a whacked out color or whatever.
Right.
The goalie for Vancouver wears this, or he's got a yellow one as well. But, yeah, pretty badass, this one, huh?
I think it's very sharp. So, what do you think of this? First of all, Jarvis, Svechnikov, Aho, they have guys that can score and that have been scoring in the playoffs. So I think, Florida's got to worry about those guys. And that's not the end of the line. They got other guys that can produce too. So I think they're a lot better than they were 2 years ago.
I think they're better as well. I think they're, you look at the Panthers. The Panthers lost in the Stanley Cup, and they got back, actually. There's sort of a pattern in the NHL right now with teams getting there, losing, and then getting back. We'll see if Edmonton's trying to do the same thing Florida did, right? I mean, Florida lost to Vegas a couple of years ago. They get back. They beat Edmonton. Now Edmonton's trying to get back and to potentially beat Florida. One thing with Carolina, a key for them, listen, Carolina play very systematic. They're almost like Team Finland or something, right? Like they play a very systematic style of hockey, and they don't deviate from it. All right, they don't make a lot of mistakes. They shoot from everywhere, right? So that's something the Toronto Maple Leafs did not do. The Leafs are like the classic, let's tee up the one-timer. Carolina are not. Carolina almost plays soccer on ice. They're just flick the puck at the net, flick the puck at the net. So they fire from all angles. I think that's the way to beat Bobrovsky, actually, to just sort of ambush him instead of try to kind of snipe him, so to speak. Freddie Anderson, obviously a massive key for the Canes as well. When he's on top of his game, he's a top type, he's a top tier goalie. So I think we're going to have a series here, Scott, but as we go back to it, Florida just have that extra grit and character that it's hard to beat.
They're fighting in this game at this point, and they're throwing guys into the penalty box in this game in Sweden. It's a tough atmosphere. They're playing in Sweden, but Canada's still winning, showing you how good they are, how deep they are. Crosby was in the middle of that scrum, and there's penalties getting dished out.
Crosby just got smoked.
I mean,
he's
honestly,
at the bottom of it, yeah.
I've seen
this
it all
referee's
here.
from Switzerland. He's called everything. He's like a traffic happy cop here.
Chiefs-Chargers in Brazil on Friday on YouTube. They're going to give everyone that game for free. They're so generous because the rest of the season they're going to fleece you for all your money.
That's one, Scott. That division, to me, based on what's happened to the Chiefs the last couple seasons, that division, the AFC West, could be up for grabs here. I know Chiefs fans think I'm probably out of my mind.
Ferrall, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
If you believe he should be in the Hall of Fame, there's, let's let him wait another 2 years. Wait, he's already dead at this point. Like, what are you waiting for? Another 2 to 3 years. He's either in or he's out. And sometimes you look at that too, Tom, it's like you can't tell, the history of Major League Baseball without Pete Rose.
Frankly, the writers have some standard that they want to hold players to, which seems to fluctuate on a player-to-player basis. So he should be in the Hall of Fame, but I'm not sure how quickly he'll get there.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You are a Pirates fan. I don't think you've got a reason good enough for me to be wearing Met stuff when the Mets are playing the Pirates right now. I don't think I'm going to go, okay, I see it at the end of your explanation.
I'm going to put it on Vinny. I'm going to put it on all the Mets fans. The Pirates won 2 in a row. They fired the manager over the weekend. A new era of Pirates baseball has begun.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're talking to Morency. I'm going to go completely out of the neighborhood here and ask you some freaky questions. Well, first of all, Sweden's wearing blue. They look like Michigan playing in this game today against Canada. They look like the Michigan Wolverine ice hockey team. As you know, I was conceived in Ann Arbor on a bottle of Belvedere. My dad and mom. My mom went to University of Michigan. And then I wanted to ask you what you thought of Moore getting suspended. And there's still... like after Michigan, the NCAA's got a hair up their tuchus for Michigan. Like, didn't Harbaugh serve time for this already at Leavenworth? Or was it San Quentin? I can't keep track of all the problems that Michigan's had because of this guy on the sideline with his, Stallions, whatever his name was. And then I want to ask you on top of that, what did you think when you saw that USC wussed out of the Notre Dame football series? They don't want to play Notre Dame anymore, allegedly, because they said it's too confusing with all the playoff scenarios to have to get involved in a long-term commitment with Notre Dame. Is that not the dumbest thing you've ever heard yet in college football in the last 5 years, that they want to pull out of that rivalry? What a bunch of femmes.
Well, originally, Scott, when I saw that, I sort of got instantly a little angry, you know what I mean? Due to, as you talk about, the history of college football, one of the best rivalries in college football. But the fact of the matter is, nobody cares about tradition anymore. I mean, look at Oklahoma State. We can go down the list, Scott. There's a lot of teams that don't play each other anymore. Yeah. And quite frankly,
well, they ruin all of them. They ruin all.
I know. Listen, it's gone. So the horse has left the barn. All right. I don't like it, but I'm just telling you right now what I think. And it's crazy that I'm actually going to agree with USC here is Notre Dame are an independent. You guys handpick and play a bunch of cupcakes all the time. We got to play Ohio State. We got to play Michigan. I got to play Penn State. I got to go to Indiana. I got to go to Illinois. I got to go to UCLA now. And UCLA have all this money with NIL now. USC have a killer effing schedule to begin
Oregon.
with. You got to play Oregon. You want to make the playoffs? You know what I mean? You don't need that extra game, Scott. You're already going to make the playoffs. This goes back to the SEC as well. And people can call, the SEC soft. They didn't want to play an extra conference game with the expansion. Why? Because it was a tougher game for them. They're like, no, we'd rather play some other cupcake than have to play someone else in our division again, in our conference again. So we're seeing this. USC is not the only one to do this. And all the SEC teams didn't want to play an extra game. Notre Dame can't have it both ways. They do have it both ways, and they get away with it. So, but the thing is, doesn't mean everybody has to go along with them to do it, right? I mean, that's the whole thing. Notre Dame, oh, well, we're Notre Dame. Well, you need to play somebody, right? You can't just, NBC ain't going to pay you to play. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying, though. And teams, Scott, in this modern era with the playoffs, it's hard enough to make the playoffs as it is. And you also know the non-conference schedule doesn't mean a damn thing anymore. Get through your freaking conference, finish in the top 2 or 3 in the Big Ten or the SEC. You're going to be in the playoffs. So why play these extra hard games? As a Michigan fan, I'm sick of it. Like, why are we playing Texas in week 2?
So what about Michigan and their head coach? What about Moore getting suspended?
Are they ever going to let it go, Scott? Like, really?
Go.
Like, seriously? Like, dude, it was years ago. Who cares? Nobody cares about the signals. Ooh, we knew what the signals. Everybody knows what the effing signal. It's like blaming a baseball team for looking at the catcher, Scott. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the stupidest thing ever.
Signs.
And this is Michigan, too, though. Michigan are the ones. They always do this. It's like the passive aggressiveness. Well, we're going to pay you as a coach, but we're going to publicly sort of scold you here. So you're going to be suspended 2 games. You know, so he's going to coach and speaking of which, Michigan are going to Norman, Oklahoma. Why? What the hell are we going to Oklahoma for? Like, why are we playing? Why? Like, we have no reason. If we play Oklahoma, let's play them in the damn playoffs. Like, I got no reason to send Michigan to Oklahoma, but we're going to Oklahoma this year. Moore's going to coach that game, Scott. He's like not coaching against Chattanooga or whoever it is we're playing in week 3.
So he's just missing like scrub games.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's almost like insulting what they're doing. Actually, you know what I mean?
All right, so you're going with who tonight in this Thunder game, and you're taking the Canes.
Give me the Canes tonight, and give me the Oklahoma City Thunder. Tonight, Scott. I like the over of the basketball game as well. The number keeps climbing, but I think it's going to get there. And I think this is where Oklahoma City starts to dial it up a notch, actually. I think they're going to look better against Minnesota than they did against Denver.
I agree with you. All right, Morency, have a good show tonight, buddy. Chargers in Brazil on Friday on YouTube. They're going to give everyone that game for free. They're so generous because the rest of the season they're going to fleece you for all your money.
That's one, Scott. That division to me, based on what's happened to the Chiefs the last couple seasons, that division, the AFC West, could be up for grabs here. I know Chiefs fans think I'm probably out of my mind.
Ferrall, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
If you believe he should be in the Hall of Fame, there's, let's let him wait another 2 years. Wait, he's already dead at this point. Like, what are you waiting for? Another 2 to 3 years. He's either in or he's out. And sometimes you look at that too, Tom. It's like you can't tell, the history of Major League Baseball without Pete Rose.
Frankly, the writers have some standard that they want to hold players to, which seems to fluctuate on a player-to-player basis. So he should be in the Hall of Fame, but I'm not sure how quickly he'll get there.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You are a Pirates fan. I don't think you've got a reason good enough for me to be wearing Met stuff when the Mets are playing the Pirates right now. I don't think I'm gonna go, okay, I see it at the end of your explanation.
I'm gonna put it on Vinny. I'm gonna put it on all the Mets fans. The Pirates won 2 in a row. They fired the manager over the weekend. A new era of Pirates baseball has begun.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Always good to hook up with Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News and Fox Sports, Big Ten Network. He's on the take for the Indiana Hoosiers. By the way, Celebrini just scored on a breakaway goal, the kid from the Sharks. I got to tell you, that kid, he's something else. I actually, Mike, think he's, for my money, I like him better than Bedard.
Wow, that's quite a statement after all the fuss that was made about Bedard. But you're playing with Canada and you're scoring in the Worlds. It's a nice start for a young career to be able to play in that group and score a big goal, no doubt.
So I saw your story about what the Pirates did with the bricks. And you know what? I got to tell you, like, you smile and laugh, I'm sure, at them because it's so unbelievable. Like, I'm angry. I have to tell you, and I'm going to have Dave Sherabon on later talking about the Pirates this afternoon because he's a huge Pirate fan like I am. And, I've been watching them, and they're awful. I mean, they are literally – you can talk all you want about the Orioles and Rockies. The Pirates are as bad as they are. I mean, it's every day.
The Rockies are setting pretty high standards of bad there, Scott.
When is the last time the Pirates scored 14 runs in a game? Name that for me, and then we'll start talking. The Rockies had 20 hits the other day. The Pirates haven't had 20 hits the whole season.
Here's the thing about that whole brick fiasco. So for those who aren't aware, when the Pirates opened PNC Park in advance of that, they offered people the opportunity, fans, etc., to buy commemorative bricks that would be installed in the area outside the ballpark. And they did. And lots of people signed up. There were lots of bricks. And at some point subsequent to the 2024 season, they decided, they were told, whatever, that the bricks needed to be replaced because they had worn down. The sidewalk was maybe a hazard. And so they decided to basically pave over it, in so many words. And instead of deciding to recreate the bricks or reuse the ones they had, they decided to just dig them all up and dump them and then pave it over with concrete. And Scott, here's the thing. It's really hard for teams like the Orioles, Reds, Royals, Pirates, etc., to get the baseball right in today's economic system in Major League Baseball. It's really hard to get the baseball right. So when you can't get the baseball right, you have to get everything else right. You can't get anything else wrong. You have to get the rest of it right. And they open the ballpark and they get a lot right just by turning on the lights, because PNC Park is a fabulous ballpark. It's as good as there is in the major leagues. I would say the best. Maybe that's because I live here, but it's a phenomenal place. But there's still more to do than just turning on the lights. And this one, I just have a hard time, Scott, understanding how a group of people got together in a room and decided this, or one person decided this, how you could be in a business like Major League Baseball. Look, I can go get my Teddy Grahams and chocolate milk at any store that's close to me and offers me the best price. It's not about loyalty to the particular outlet. But when you're selling Major League Baseball, you're selling a romance, a feeling, a passion. And they just dug it up and dumped it in a dumpster. And I don't know how you can come to that conclusion in the profession that those people are in.
So they also screwed up with the Clemente signage. Yes. And then they had to reverse course on that because they embarrassed themselves so horrifically there. I mean, like, it's one thing after the next. And I got to tell you, and I may be repetitive today later, but when I watch Paul Skeens throw a complete game and lose 1-0, and I see his face after on the mound and after the game in the locker room doing interviews, that guy looks like he wants to run away to Canada and live in the woods. I mean, he just looks so miserable playing for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Like, he is one unhappy looking dude, if you ask me. I don't care what his contract says. I don't care about his future because he has no future there. I mean, they just have screwed him up from the beginning, and he just looks so unhappy to me. It's not even funny.
Well, I don't think there's much doubt that he is. And the first year, I don't agree with the from the beginning part, because when they got him out there, they had a pretty good top end of their starting rotation, obviously led by him, but then Jared Jones, Mitch Keller. It's a pretty good top end of the rotation if they're all healthy. Now Jared Jones is injured, hasn't played. I don't think he's thrown at all this year in a game. If he has, it was very limited. So he's been out. Keller doesn't get any run support, as he didn't last night. It's bad. But what happened is they went into the offseason with the promise of this top end of the rotation, and they did nothing to complement that, either by bringing in another ace, somebody else to put into the rotation, or to go out and get a bunch of bats to support what stood up as a promising rotation. All of that is what frustrates a player like Skeens. Again, as I said, this is not easy for a team like the Pirates. They could certainly do better than they do, but it's not easy because everything is stacked against them. But you can do better than they have on the field, and you can do much better than they have off the field.
So I was talking to Scott Miller yesterday, and he's got a new book out about Skipper, about managers and how they're still important in Major League Baseball. And we started reminiscing about some of the greats. And I just want to get your opinion of Chuck Tanner and Jim Leland and what they brought to the table. Because when I was a kid, Chuck Tanner did really well with the Pirates. And I remember going to the World Series with my dad, and I just thought the world of him. And then what Leland did when he left, I thought he did a great job in Pittsburgh. And when he left, I thought he did even better down in South Florida, obviously, and in Detroit. I want to get your opinion on it. And do you have a then and now guy that you like? Because we picked Bochy and Tito now, and those were my thens, the Tanner and Leland. And I even said,
I'll go with Scott. The then I would use would be Danny Murtaugh, who won the championship in 1960 and 1971. He had a lot of health problems, but he's won more than 1,000 games. I'm not sure there's a manager in Major League Baseball history who won more than 1,000 games and multiple World Series who's not in the Hall of Fame. I can't explain it. He beat the Yankees in 60 when everyone said they had no chance. He beat the Orioles in 71 when they had 420 game winners, and everyone said they had no chance. I don't know how he's not in the Hall of Fame. It's a complete mystery to me. I got to know Chuck Tanner. I covered the Pirates for 1 year. He was one of the nicest people you could ever meet, even though he yelled at me once over a question I asked. He was just delightful. Leland I did not know as well. But he did a great job here. It would have been nice if he did slightly better and got them to at least one of the three World Series between 90 and 92, but obviously went on to do that, get to the series in Detroit and win it in Florida. So he's a phenomenal manager. He was actually at the game that I attended last night, sitting behind home plate and observing his former player, Don Kelly, a Point Park University graduate like me, as well as Gene Lamont, who was was really the right-hand man for Jim during those early 90s teams.
They brought Lamont back. He's like, what is he, like 75 years old?
Like 73 to 75, somewhere in there. Still has something to add, and good for him. I'm happy for Gene that he's back there. I just wish they had more talent for their sake. I wish they had more talent to work with so they could have a little bit more success.
I have never in my life, I don't ever remember a team hit as poorly as the word hit isn't even in their vocabulary. I mean, every guy I saw the other day, I'm watching a game, and he said, Connor Falefa is the hardest guy in the team to strike out 3 pitches. He was sitting on the bench. 3 pitches. He's so awful. I can't even take it anymore, Mike DeCourcy.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The Chiefs Chargers in Brazil on Friday on YouTube. They're going to give everyone that game for free. They're so generous because the rest of the season they're going to fleece you for all your money.
That's one, Scott. That division to me, based on what's happened to the Chiefs the last couple seasons, that division, the AFC West, could be up for grabs here. I know Chiefs fans think I'm probably out of my mind.
Ferrall, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
I actually like the fact that they went 7 games against a quality opponent here and still had to face adversity even in a game number 7. How are we setting up this next series with a rested Minnesota Timberwolves team taking on OKC fresh from the fight here?
They had an extremely, maybe it's just too short of a statement to say, easier pathway than people thought, particularly because of their size.
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
That's got to be spew news, doesn't it? Carver High. I think it comes right across the news desk and goes right on the air immediately. That is sad news that you're gonna throw out there right now.
Yeah, sure, why not? George Wendt, actor, passes away at 76 years old. Of course, Norm from Cheers, and several other great roles as well. I remember he was in a lot of 80s movies, Gung Ho with Michael Keaton, the movie about the car factory. He was in that. He was in a bunch of really good films. George Wendt, unfortunately, passing away at 76.
Yeah, man.
Cheers.
What a great job he had on Cheers, sitting at the bar and chugging beer for a living. I mean, he just had it down to a science.
That is a good gig. If you could get it, that's a good one, that's for sure. So there you go. Rest in peace to George, and all the best to his family. All right, here we go. NBA Western Conference Final gets underway tonight in Oklahoma City between the Timberwolves and the Thunder. Why don't we start things off by hearing from Thunder head coach Mark Deneau. Of course, a tough 7 games for them, finishing up with the Nuggets. They get right into the T-Wolves, who, of course, have been waiting with a little bit of rest. Here's Deneau breaking down the matchup.
Yeah, I mean, we played them 4 times, but only once when they were whole. We were not fully whole yet, so there's always stuff you can take from those games. Definitely from a personnel standpoint, we have familiarity with a lot of their players from previous seasons even, but apples to apples, I don't know if those games are like, the perfect
yeah, they don't matter.
frameworks through which to look at the series. So it'll be different, just like every playoff series. They're a team we respect. They're playing exceptionally well right now. Since really March 1st, they've been outstanding, both ends of the floor, and their playoff run's been very impressive. So it's a tall task and going to require great, energy, focus, all the things that we need to bring.
Listen, I'm sick of talking about it, to be honest with you, but I want to say that, like, somebody said to me today that, Randall's going to go off, and I'm like, yeah, he's a really good player, but he has nights where he doesn't go off, like, right? So, like, he could go, if somebody's on him and in his face and denies him all of these shots that he takes, and he's bricking, he'll have an off night. I think that people count on Randall and Ann Edwards to have these giant games every night out, and that's just not the case. If you look at Ann Edwards, he had games of 20 points. 20 points for him is a bad night. It really is. I mean, I had 23 last night, and that's more than 20, okay? And I'm 60, okay? And I'm telling you, I've seen Ann Edwards have bad games. I've seen Randall have bad games. Not only with Minnesota, you've seen him have bad games with the Knicks, Mike. And if he's off and they're off, I'm telling you, they're going to get their ass beat. Now, I want, and I don't know how many times I have to do this. How many times do I have to do this? I want Minnesota to win. I'm with Mike. I'm on Minnesota. I want them to win. I'm pulling for them. I hope they knock them off. And meanwhile, I got my son here, and he's the biggest Thunder fan in the world. And he's going to sit here tonight and watch this game with me, and he's going to be cheering for the Thunder. And if I ever, like I was on Denver and he ate on Sunday, he's just laughing at me. He's like, you have no idea what's about to happen to you. And then he said to me, boy. And I was like, what? So, like, look, I think that these guys have to be great to beat this team. And I'm not sure they're capable of being great against that defense. I mean it.
Look,
what are they going to do after that? Mike Conley? Mike Conley's going to get shut down.
We've seen Randall have bad games in this playoff. I mean, that first game against Golden State, he was awful that game they lost. You know, he was really good in the other 4 games, but he was bad in that game, that first opening 1-game loss.
You can't have a bunch of bad games against this team.
Not against this team. You got to bring your A game every single night if you're going to get it done. Of course, for Anthony Edwards, this is now the second year in a row where he is in the Western Conference Final. Last year, he came off a tough 7-game series and did not start well and ended up losing to Dallas in the West Final. Now back for the second year in a row. Has he learned anything? Well, the rest is certainly going to help him.
Does it feel different this year versus last year, just in terms of the emotions of that Denver series and kind of what you guys were feeling versus this time around?
Yeah, because we got a little break. We got like 4 or 5 days to rest up, get treatment. So, yeah, it feels a little different. A lot more rested for sure.
And what's the benefit having gone through this last year, like knowing what to expect and how you have to prepare for this?
I don't know. It's no benefits of going through it last year. Just trying to be more prepared this year, and not come out sluggish in game 1 with all this time that we have.
Yeah, I just don't agree with any of that. Like, you're sitting here telling me there was no effect at all of being in the Western Final last year and losing, that it did nothing to help you or get you ready for this another chance. I think it has to. I remember, if you look at the Bulls, they kept losing to the Pistons, right? And then they finally beat them. Don't tell me they didn't figure them out. I think playing last year, you have to figure out what you did wrong and don't do it again and get better than you were last year. I agree with him about the rest. I think any team at this point, it benefits them to have 3 or 4 days off for their bodies and to get treatment, etc. Because let me tell you something. Like, if you ball a lot, like I do, I just don't, when I go there in the morning at 6 a.m., I play, we tip at 6 in the morning. I don't go in there and start, I'll shoot a few shots. I'm not going to, you know how these guys warm up for an hour before these games? I'll literally, before I play, I'll be like, I don't need to shoot. I play basketball 6 days a week. They play all the time. They play for 7 months. They can play ball. They can take 3 days off and get better with their bodies and then go out and deal as sure as I'm sitting here. Guys that play ball every day, play ball every day. That's it. It's simple as that. Russ, what are they going to suck because they had 3 days off? I don't buy any of that nonsense.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Chiefs Chargers in Brazil on Friday on YouTube. They're going to give everyone that game for free. They're so generous because the rest of the season they're going to fleece you for all your money.
That's one, Scott. That division to me, based on what's happened to the Chiefs the last couple seasons, that division, the AFC West, could be up for grabs here. I know Chiefs fans think I'm probably out of my mind.
Ferrall, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
I actually like the fact that they went 7 games against a quality opponent here and still had to face adversity even in a game number 7. How are we setting up this next series where they rested Minnesota Timberwolves team taking on OKC fresh from the fight here?
They had an extremely, maybe it's just too short of a statement to say, easier pathway than people thought, particularly because of their size.
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
You know what I'm saying, Mike? Seriously, like, I think that the rest helps them, not hurts them. Some people say, oh, well, the other team's been playing, so they're in a groove and all this other nonsense. Like, these guys ball, that's all they do. And their shoot-arounds, their warm-ups, their pregame, they can play basketball in their sleep.
Look, I think it's a lot more prevalent and helpful in the NHL playoffs than it is the NBA playoffs. I think that getting a couple extra days like Carolina just did, as opposed to Florida when they played tonight, I think is going to make a big difference. But yes, in the NBA, it also has its benefits. I think for I think it just comes down to, I just don't think he wants to talk to anybody or say anything. Like I think that's why he's giving you that kind of like, oh yeah, it don't matter, it doesn't matter. He just don't want to say nothing. I think that's what it comes down to.
He doesn't want to be the face of the NBA. It's written all over his face. But I still think he does. He still does the job. Like they require him to do interviews, and he does them. And he's always funny when they interview him. He's cool
because he don't give a Ferrall. He don't care. Like he just that's why he just goes up there.
I like him.
Kind of rips it.
I like his style.
Here we go. Let's do all the numbers for this game one and the series. Here we go. This opened at Thunder minus 370, Timberwolves plus 300. It's gone down a little bit. Thunder minus 350, T-Wolves plus 280. 82% of the bets and 58% of the money is on the Timberwolves. And I expected that with that big price. People are always going to, Scotty, gravitate to the plus 300s, the plus 275s. They're going to gravitate to that stuff for a series price.
Yeah, listen. I want him to. I want him to win. I really do. But I've said this repeatedly. I want him to win. I'm pulling for him. I'm rooting for him. I'm not betting on them. I'm not betting on them against this team. You're going to get burned. This team they're playing is, in my view, frankly, I think they're the best team in the league, and they're on their way. I think they're better than the Pacers and the Knicks. And I think they're certainly better than this team, too, and I think they're going to prove it.
Well, I think I told you yesterday it was 7 or 7.5 when we did this yesterday.
7.
So down to 6.5 here this afternoon, a couple hours before tip. So 6.5. I still like it. I think that this is similar to And I know it's not the same because Minnesota's going on the road and they're at OKC, but they've had the rest, just like Carolina's had the rest against Florida. You know, OKC just played a 7th game on Sunday. I think it's really important for Minnesota, if they're going to win this series, to maybe try to steal this first game tonight while they've got themselves a little bit of a rest advantage.
You're probably right, and I'm not going to argue with that, but I'm not betting on him.
You're on the Thunder.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. I just
You're on the Thunder.
like that. I think that building's a den of iniquity. I think that teams go there to die. Like the Denver Nuggets, they had a funeral. It was a funeral procession, is what I saw on Sunday. That was the worst game I've seen, I think, the whole year. Like, I mean, it was awful. And they got rubbed out. I mean, belt to ass. It was unbelievable. And don't tell me that crowd, I mean, they stand the whole game and just scream and yell and go crazy. And it's just kind of overwhelming. And I think the Garden gets that way as long as the Knicks are winning. Like if they're up in a game and when they were coming back from 20 down or whatever, you have to remember, Game 4, they had to come back in that game too. But in Game 6, they didn't have to come back at all. So the place was on its ear that whole day. I think the Garden can go toe-to-toe with the Paycom. In fact, the Garden's better. But the team isn't better. So, this team won 68 games for a reason. They win in that building. I think the Garden's really loud, but this place is nuts because they want it that bad. I think the Knicks want it that bad, and New Yorkers and fans want it that bad. But those two arenas are tough to win in.
They certainly are. Most bet player props for tonight: Anthony Edwards under 26.5, Holmgren under 9.5 boards, Naz Reid over 16.5 points, rebounds, assists, Caruso under 8.5, and Naz Reid over 10.5 points. The most bet player props for tonight.
Yeah, I like. I'd be willing to bet that Edwards under and that Reid over, and I like Caruso over. Actually, and yeah, just from what I just saw right there, I was kind of leaning on those bets.
Still underdogs at home, on the road, and all of these games. It's time for people to start understanding a legitimate team that has a chance not only to win the series against Cleveland, but also maybe even go all the way to the NBA Finals.
I think a lot of the focus has been on why the Cavs have not played particularly well. A lot of that is due to injury, of course, but I think that's taking too much credit away from what the Pacers have done.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Malaysia Fawali, who you guys know I am a huge fan, has decided to switch allegiances and stay in league. And now she's going to go play for Kim Mulkey. Her, Flau'jae Johnson in the backcourt. It's going to be interesting to watch. You wonder sometimes with roster construction, maybe too much is not too good.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Jason Tatum underwent surgery to repair a torn right Achilles tendon. That is obviously a season-ending injury, and that's long rehab. You're talking
that's a year.
That's a year.
I don't wish that on anybody. I don't. I hate that Achilles, knees and ankles. I don't like talking about them. I've said it a million times. But screw the Celtics.
Ferrall coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.